Log entry 2847. Another exciting day of watching alien bacteria multiply. My life is just one non-stop thrill ride after another, Mira Chen muttered into her personal recorder, watching the purple-tinted microorganisms squirm under her microscope. The state-of-the-art laboratory aboard Nexus Station hummed with the gentle whir of equipment, most of which cost more than her annual salary. She glanced at the chronometer, 0300 station time. Perfect. This was exactly when she preferred to work, when most of the other scientists were asleep or engaged in whatever passed for recreation among their species. The quiet helped her think, and more importantly, it meant fewer awkward social interactions with her alien colleagues. Not that they weren't pleasant enough, well, most of them. The scriks were a bit tetchy, but that's what happens when you evolve from hyper-territorial apex predators. But after 3 years as the only human xenobiologist on a station of 50,000 aliens, Mira had earned quite the reputation. There goes the weird quiet human, they'd whisper in their various languages, usually when they thought she couldn't hear them. The one who works in the dark cycles and talks to her samples. Mira smirked. If talking to bacteria made her weird, she'd wear that badge with pride. Besides, the bacteria were better conversationalists than half the station's population. At least they didn't try to explain her own planet's gravity to her, unlike certain know-it-all Galactic Council representatives. A soft chime from her communication panel interrupted her work. Dr. Chen, your presence is requested in Habitation Ring C, Section 47, Priority Level, Standard. Who's requesting? Mira asked, already saving her data and removing her lab coat. Dr. Tikzara of the Kazakh delegation. Now that was interesting. The Kazakh were one of the newest species to join the Galactic Council, having achieved faster-than-light travel just decades ago. They were also one of the most fascinating species Mira had encountered, resembling nothing so much as a cross between Earth's extinct terror birds and a rainbow. Tell them I'm on my way, she said, grabbing her portable scanner. The Kazakh rarely requested outside help, being naturally cautious with their young. If they were calling her, something was definitely up. The station's corridors were mercifully empty as she made her way to the Kazakh sector. The few maintenance workers she passed gave her polite nods, used to her odd hours. The night shift knew her well enough not to attempt small talk. As she approached Section 47, the environment began to change. The temperature rose several degrees, and the air became more humid. The Kazakh preferred conditions similar to Earth's Cretaceous period, which made Mira feel right at home. The walls took on a softer, almost organic appearance, another Kazakh preference. Dr. Tikzara met her at the entrance to their community space. The 7-foot-tall avianoid's feathers shifted through a kaleidoscope of worried colors, mostly purples and greens, which Mira had learned indicated concern. Dr. Chen, thank you for coming so quickly. Tikzara's translator rendered their whistling speech into standard galactic. We have a situation with one of our breeding groups. Mira's eyebrows rose. The Kazakh were intensely private about their breeding practices. For them to call in an outsider. Show me, she said simply. The community space opened into a vast chamber filled with nest-like structures. Kazakh adults moved between them, their feathers dulled to calm blues and greys. But Tikzara led her to a particular nest where 3 cubs huddled together. Their down feathers a sickly yellow instead of the usual vibrant gold. The entire clutch started showing symptoms 6 hours ago, Tikzara explained. We've tried our traditional remedies, but... Mira was already scanning them, her mind racing through possible causes. The cubs chirped weakly as her scanner passed over them, their large eyes following her movements. Don't worry, little ones, she murmured, momentarily forgetting her professional demeanor. We'll figure out what's wrong. She didn't notice the way Tikzara's feathers shifted to a surprised pink, or how the other adults exchanged meaningful looks. They'd never seen the quiet human show such gentle concern before. Perhaps they'd misjudged her. What none of them knew was that this moment would mark the beginning of something much bigger than a simple medical consultation, something that would remind the galaxy why humans had earned their reputation as the most terrifying protectors in known space. But for now, Mira Chen just focused on her scanner readings, completely unaware that she was about to become the center of a story that would be told in Kazakh nests for generations to come. The test results made no sense. Mira ran them again, frowning at her workstation's holoscreen. The cub's symptoms matched no known pathogen, in the galactic medical database, but the molecular markers in their blood. Computer, cross-reference these compounds with known sedatives. Match found. Compound matches GRAC 780, a controlled substance primarily used in veterinary applications. Mira's frown deepened. What species commonly use GRAC 780? Primary users, Vorkath medical facilities. Now that was odd. The Vorkath were notoriously isolationist. They rarely traded with other species, let alone shared medical supplies, and they certainly had no business near Kazakh cubs. Dr. Chen? A nervous whistle from the doorway interrupted her thoughts. One of the younger Kazakh caregivers stood there, feathers rippling with anxiety. Another clutch has fallen ill. By the time Mira reached the nests, she knew this was no coincidence. 6 more cubs showed identical symptoms. She pulled Tukzara aside, keeping her voice low. These cubs have been drugged deliberately. Tukzara's feathers flashed danger red. Impossible, our security. Run your own tests if you don't believe me. Mira pulled up the data on her pad. Someone's using GRAC 780. It's gentle enough not to cause permanent harm, but strong enough to keep the cubs quiet for transportation. The last word hung in the air like a death sentence. Tukzara's feathers went completely white, a sign of pure horror Mira had never seen before. I need access to your security feeds, Mira said, all of them, for the past month. That would require council approval. Your cubs are being targeted by traffickers. Do you want to wait for paperwork? 3 hours and several hundred security feeds later, Mira's eyes burned from staring at screens, but she had what she needed. The same maintenance badge showing up at odd hours, supply crates with power readings that suggested stasis units inside, and most damning of all, a shipping manifest to a medical research facility that didn't exist in any official database. Computer, track all shipments from Dock 47C in the past 6 months. The data painted an ugly picture. Regular shipments always during night cycles, always to the same set of coordinates in Vorkath space. A quick check showed similar patterns on other stations where Kazakh had established breeding colonies. Well, Mira muttered, pulling up details on the Vorkath syndicate. Looks like someone's running a galaxy-wide operation. The syndicate had started as a legitimate trading corporation, but rumors of their less legal activities had circulated for years. Nothing had ever been proven. They were too careful, too well connected. And now Mira knew why. Who would suspect them of targeting creatures as obscure as Kazakh cubs? But why? She dug deeper into xenobiology archives, cross-referencing Kazakh physiology with black market values. When the answer came up, she actually laughed out loud. Their feathers, of course. Adult Kazakh feathers were beautiful but common. But cubs, their down feathers contained unique compounds that made them invaluable for certain pharmaceutical applications, completely illegal ones. A notification popped up on her screen. Another shipment was scheduled for tonight. Mira cracked her knuckles. Computer, give me the station's maintenance schedule for Dock 47C. That information requires alpha-level clearance. Override Chen 79 Delta. Override denied, security protocols. Fine, we'll do this the fun way. Mira pulled up her personal terminal, fingers flying over the keys. 3 years of late-night work shifts hadn't just been about avoiding social interaction. She'd gotten very familiar with the station's systems, very familiar indeed. The maintenance schedule appeared on her screen, along with something else, an encrypted communication channel she definitely wasn't supposed to see. Shipment ready for pickup, 6 units secured, payment as discussed. 6 units, 6 cubs. Mira felt something cold settle in her chest, the kind of cold she hadn't felt since her days in Earth Special Operations, the kind of cold that preceded very, very bad decisions. Computer, locate Chief of Station Security. Chief Vxtrick is currently off station. Estimated return, 72 hours. Of course he was, and by then those cubs would be long gone. Mira stood up, stretching muscles that suddenly remembered old training. She had about 6 hours until the next shipment. 6 hours to figure out how to stop an operation that spanned multiple star systems. Hey, computer, one more thing. Where exactly did I store that emergency equipment I brought aboard? Personal storage locker 23B contains items marked as research materials. Mira grinned. She had always wondered if she'd ever need that particular research material again. Looks like tonight was the night to find out. As she headed for her quarters, she passed a group of Kazakh parents watching over their sleeping cubs. One of the little ones stirred, chirping softly in its sleep. Mira's grin faded, replaced by something harder. The Vorkath syndicate had made a serious mistake. They'd assumed that because humans were rare out here, because she was just a quiet xenobiologist, that this station was an easy target. Time to remind them why humans had a galaxy-wide reputation for being protective, especially when it came to kids, any species kids. "Don't worry, little ones," she whispered. "The weird, quiet human is about to get very, very loud." Mira stared at the security officer's tentacles, which were currently turning an interesting shade of bureaucratic purple. "Let me get this straight," Officer Zukatal burbled through their translator. "You want us to raid a highly secured dock based on maintenance schedules and power readings? And the illegal sedatives, don't forget those," Mira added helpfully, "plus the encrypted communications about units being shipped out. Dr. Chen, surely you understand we need more concrete evidence." "More concrete than drugged cubs?" The officer's tentacles writhed uncomfortably. "The Vorkath syndicate has diplomatic immunity. We need absolute proof before what? Before more cubs disappear? How many have already?" "This meeting is over, Dr. Chen. Please return to your laboratory." Mira watched the officer ooze away, mentally counting to 10, then 20, then 50. Nope. Still wanted to punch something. "Computer, time until next scheduled shipment. 4 hours, 17 minutes. Perfect. Just enough time for Plan B, or was this Plan C? She'd lost track somewhere between following proper channels and to hell with this. Her personal storage locker looked exactly like all the others in Block 23. Totally innocuous. Nothing suspicious at all about the triple encrypted lock or the reinforced durasteel construction. Just your average xenobiologist storage space. "Security override Chen Alpha 009. The locker hissed open, revealing what could technically be called research materials, if you squinted really hard and had a very loose definition of research. "Hello, beautiful," Mira murmured, running her hands over the matte black combat suit. "Miss me?" The suit had been a parting gift from her old unit. Technically, she wasn't supposed to have it. Technically, it didn't exist. Technically, a lot of things about her past didn't exist. "Computer, begin equipment check protocol. Warning, equipment check protocol not found in standard xenobiology procedures." No kidding, override Charlie Tango 7. Her old gear came online one piece at a time. Combat suit functional. Shield generator charged. Tactical scanner calibrated. Non-lethal weapons arsenal, ready to remind some very stupid people why humans had a reputation for being walking disaster zones when properly motivated. "You know," she told her reflection as she suited up, "this would be so much easier if everyone had just followed proper procedures, file reports, conduct investigations, hold meetings, submit forms in triplicate." The combat boots made a satisfying thunk against the floor. "We could have had a nice, civilized discussion about why trafficking children is bad." The tactical belt clicked into place. "Could have handled this through the proper channels, like reasonable law-abiding sentience." Shield generator hummed to life. "But no, had to do it the hard way. Now I have to go and make a diplomatic incident, probably violate about 15 station regulations, maybe start an interstellar incident." She checked her non-lethal weapons, stun grenades, shock nets, nerve disruptors, all carefully calibrated to incapacitate without causing permanent harm. She had standards after all. Could have been simple, but I guess we're doing this the fun way. Her old tactical HUD flickered to life inside her helmet, mapping the station's layout and highlighting potential entry points to Dock 47C. The night shift's patrol routes appeared as dotted lines. Amazing what you could do with 3 years of accumulated security access codes and too many late nights to burn. "Computer, activate stealth protocols." Warning, stealth protocols not recognized. "Override Final Tango 0 and stop pretending you don't know exactly what I'm doing. We've had this dance before." The computer fell silent, but Mira could have sworn it radiated disapproval, though that might have been her imagination. 3 years of talking to bacteria might have affected her more than she'd admit. A soft chirp from her communicator, Taxara requesting an update. Mira sent back a carefully worded message about pursuing alternative solutions. Technically not a lie. Alternative to letting cubs be stolen? Absolutely. She did a final equipment check, muscle memory from years of training taking over. Everything had to be perfect. No room for errors when children's lives were at stake. You know what the funny thing is, she told her reflection, I actually like it here. Nice lab, decent pay, get to study fascinating species all day. Could have been a nice, quiet posting. The reflection stared back, combat-suited and armed to the teeth. But I guess some people just have to learn the hard way why every species in the galaxy has legends about not messing with human children. Or any children, really. We're kind of universal that way. 3 hours until the shipment, time to go remind some traffickers why humans had earned their reputation, and maybe, just maybe, have a little fun doing it. After all, she muttered, checking her weapons one last time, what's the point of having all this fancy equipment if you never get to use it? Dock 47C's security system never stood a chance. 3 years of late-night system maintenance had taught Mira every quirk of the station's security protocols. The door slid open with a soft hiss, right on schedule. Well, would you look at that, she muttered, scanning the cargo bay. Either I'm interrupting a completely legitimate late-night shipping operation, or someone's about to have a really bad day. 8 Vorkath enforcers, all armed, 3 transport containers with life sign readings. And in the center, looking exactly like the crime boss he was, stood a Vorkath in an expensive environment suit. Status report, he growled to one of his men. 6 units secured, sedation holding steady, transport. Hello, gentlemen, Mira called out, stepping into view. I'm here for your shipping inspection. Hope you don't mind if I arrived a bit early. The guard spun, weapons rising. The boss's environmental suit vents flared with surprise. Human, he spat. This is a restricted area. Oh, I know, very restricted, super secret, much illegal. Would you like to guess how many regulations you're breaking? Because I counted 23, and that's just the ones about proper cargo manifests. Killer. See, that's 24. The first guard fired. Mira's shield flickered, deflecting the shot as she dove behind a cargo container. Her tactical HUD highlighted targets, calculating trajectories. You know what I love about you, Vorkath types, she called out, triggering a stun grenade. You're so predictable, always with the kill them order. Never a let's talk this out or maybe we should surrender. The grenade went off, dropping 2 guards, the others scattered, trying to flank her. Also, she added, rolling to a new position, your combat tactics need work. I mean, seriously? Her shock net caught another guard mid-run. Bunching up like that? Amateur hour. The boss was shouting orders, backing toward the transport containers. Mira's scanner showed the cub's life signs, still stable but sedated. By the way, she fired her nerve disruptor, catching 2 more guards. Did anyone ever tell you why humans are considered crazy by galactic standards? No answer except weapons fire, rude. See, most species evolve to run from danger. She vaulted over a container, landing behind another guard. Fight or flight, you know, a quick strike to a nerve cluster and another one down. Humans, we evolved to run toward it. The remaining guards were regrouping, finally showing some tactical sense. Unfortunately for them, Mira had already mapped out this entire fight in her head. Especially, she continued, triggering her suit's enhanced speed mode, when someone threatens kids, any kids, even ones that aren't ours. She moved like liquid shadow between the cargo containers. Her non-lethal arsenal might have seemed primitive compared to their energy weapons, but she had something they didn't. Decades of human combat evolution and some very expensive neural enhancements. It's actually kind of funny, she said, dropping the last guard with a perfectly timed shock pulse. I bet you thought this station was an easy target because there was only one human here. The boss backed away, his weapon tracking her movement. What are you? Me? Oh, I'm just a xenobiologist, you know, study life forms, write papers, occasionally remind people why humans have warning labels in the galactic database. His shot went wide as she closed the distance. The expensive environment suit didn't help him much against a nerve strike designed specifically for Vorkath physiology. Thank you. Extensive xenobiology knowledge. Here's a fun fact, she told his unconscious form. Humans are classified as a death world species. Know why? Because we're really, really good at protecting things, especially young ones. Any young ones. The transport containers opened easily with the boss's security codes. Inside, 6 Kazakh cubs lay curled together, peacefully sedated. Hey, little ones, she said softly, administering the counter-sedative. Let's get you home. Her communicator crackled. Security alert in Dock 47C. All units respond. About time, Mira muttered, checking the cub's vital signs. Only took them the entire fight to notice something was wrong. She triggered the station's containment protocols, sealing the dock. Let security deal with cleanup. She had cubs to escort home. You know what the really funny part is? She told the slowly waking cubs as she gathered them up. I actually hate fighting. Terrible career choice for me, really. Much prefer bacteria. They're so much more reasonable. The first security teams arrived to find 8 unconscious Vorkath, 1 thoroughly documented smuggling operation, and a trail of very interesting security footage showing exactly how one human had dismantled a major trafficking ring. And at the center of it all, a note left on the boss's unconscious form. Next time, try smuggling bacteria instead, much less paperwork. P.S. Expect formal charges from the Galactic Council. I filled out all the forms, in triplicate. The cubs were starting to stir as she carried them back to their nests. One opened its eyes, chirping questioningly at her helmet. Don't worry about the outfit, she told it. Just your friendly neighborhood xenobiologist, doing some late-night research. Very technical stuff. Lots of practical applications. The little one chirped again, snuggling closer. Though between you and me, she added, seeing the shocked faces of the Kazakh parents ahead, I think I might have just violated the station's dress code, among other things. The station's security forces arrived in full tactical gear, only to find Mira casually sitting on a cargo container, cleaning under her nails with what appeared to be a very illegal plasma knife. Took you long enough, she said, not looking up. Your boss is in that corner, the one drooling on his expensive suit. Yeah, him. Don't worry, he'll wake up, eventually. Chief Vixatric burst through the door, all 6 eyes blinking rapidly. Dr. Chen, what is the meaning of... A holographic projection sprang to life from Mira's tactical suit, filling the dock with floating data streams. Funny story, while I was definitely not hacking your systems, I found some interesting money trails. Would you like to guess where they lead? The chief's scales paled. That's classified. To 3 members of the station council. Yeah, I noticed. Amazing what people leave in their financial records when they think no one's looking. The syndicate leader stirred, groaning. Mira's boot found his chest, pinning him down. Hey there, Sleeping Beauty. Want to tell the chief about your friends in high places? Or should I play the recordings? You're bluffing, he wheezed. No proof. Mira tapped her helmet and the air filled with recorded conversations. Council members discussing shipment schedules, payment arrangements, a network spanning half the sector. See, here's what I don't get, she said conversationally. You had a perfect setup. Council backing, security paid off, everything nice and clean. Why get sloppy? Why drug those cubs in the medical bay where someone might notice? The syndicate leader laughed wetly. Because we never thought a human would care about alien offspring. Your kind barely tolerates each other. The temperature in the room seemed to drop several degrees as Mira leaned down. Let me explain something, she said, her voice terrifyingly gentle. Humans don't just tolerate children. We're hardwired to protect them. Any of them. All of them. It's not logical. It's not rational. It's just what we are. She straightened up, addressing the security teams. You'll find complete documentation in your systems. Every transaction, every bribe, every shipment. I've already transmitted copies to the Galactic Council, the Earth Embassy, and about 30 news agencies. You know, just in case anyone feels like doing some spring cleaning in the station's administration. Chief Vixatric's scales were now approaching pure white. You realize this will cause a diplomatic crisis? Probably, but you know what won't be happening anymore. Mira gestured to the transport containers. This, and I'm pretty sure the Kazakh representatives will have some interesting questions for the council tomorrow. She finally stood up, stretching. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have cubs to check on, and bacteria cultures that need attention. Feel free to handle the rest of this through proper channels. As she walked out, the syndicate leader called after her. This isn't over, human. Mira paused at the door. Actually, it is, but hey, if you want a rematch after you get out of prison, look me up. I'll be in my lab. You know, being the weird, quiet human who talks to bacteria. Now, she left them there, surrounded by the evidence of their crimes and the aftermath of one human's fury. Behind her, she could hear Chief Vixatric beginning to read charges, his voice shaking slightly. Sometimes, she reflected, the best part of being the quiet one was how surprised everyone was when you finally decided to make some noise. 3 days later, Mira found her lab filled with feathers, literally filled. They covered every surface in iridescent waves of color, each one a gift from the Kazakh community. Apparently, being gifted a feather was their highest honor. Being gifted several thousand was probably overkill. Your workstation appears to be experiencing unusual precipitation, her computer noted. Thank you, Captain Obvious, Mira muttered, brushing feathers off her microscope. Any other brilliant observations? The station's council has been dissolved pending investigation. 3 members have been arrested. The Vorkath syndicate's assets have been frozen. And you have 27 interview requests from various news agencies. Delete those last ones. Also, there appears to be a gathering of Kazakh narcubs outside your lab. Mira looked up. Through the transparent walls, she could see a group of tiny feathered faces pressed against the glass, chirping excitedly. Their parents stood behind them, feathers shifting through patterns of pride and gratitude. Dr. Chen, Tagzara's voice came through the comm. The cubs wish to see their protector. They've composed a song about, and I quote, the quiet human who fights like a storm. A song? It's traditional, though they've added some sound effects for the combat scenes. Quite creative, actually. The part where you disabled the shield generator is particularly melodic. Mira laughed, opening her lab door. The cubs immediately swarmed in, chirping their battle song, complete with surprisingly accurate whooshing noises for her combat moves. The station's betting pools have also been updated, her computer added helpfully. Your new unofficial titles include Scariest Xenobiologist, Most Surprisingly Violent Scientist, and The Human You Don't Want to Make Mad. What happened to Weird Quiet Human? That one's still there. They just added Who Will Absolutely Wreck Your Day If You Deserve It. Mira watched the cubs reenacting her raid, their feathers flickering with joy and excitement. One of them had somehow gotten hold of a datapad and was using it as a pretend shield generator. You know what? She told her computer, grinning as the cubs started another chorus of their battle song. I can live with that reputation. Behind her, her bacteria cultures bubbled peacefully, completely unimpressed with their caretaker's newfound fame. At least some things never changed.